G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared and Space Tomato. How you chaps doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I think I just turned partly English then. I said chats. Chats. I've never said chaps before. That was really awkward of me. But anyway, today...
it took me a while to figure out English accent versus Australian accents. I'm sorry about that.
We hear that a lot. You would be surprised. People go, "Oh, you're English," or "You're Australian," and it's the complete opposite. So yeah.
Someone told me the other day I sounded like a Californian. I don't get it. But
you look like a Californian. Huh. Yeah, the guy's called Colonel Sanders. Yeah, no.
I look like a Californian. He's not from.
No, he's not. I just want to give.
He's definitely not from California.
He's from Kentucky. That's why it's called Kentucky Fried
I am
Chicken.
though. Do me and Al sound pretty similar? Same cadence of speech?
No.
Yeah.
Your voice is way more sexy than ours. But anyway,
that has nothing to do with California.
that's just space, you know. Hey, what can you say?
All right, so
that's just all the throat workouts. Oh, that sounds bad.
What I wanted to talk today is about essentially the secret ships of Invictus, or the ships of Invictus in short. So I want to go through what we know, what ships we know, what ships we don't, what ships we think that could possibly be coming, ones we don't think are coming. Things like that. I've just had a visitor.
So what ships to expect for the sale?
Yeah,
we're getting cats.
Yes,
at Invictus Week.
We're getting cats. Right, yep. You can join me, Jax. All right, so most of what we have kind of learned very recently is the stuff from this track. Don't walk on the keyboard. Let's walk on the keyboard. I'm going to put you down. Right, is from this trailer. So I'm just going to play this a little bit in the background, and I will skip through it. We've obviously got the massive Polaris coming there. Have you heard how they're presenting that at all, Space? Just curious if you know.
Yeah, it's going to be flying through with the fleet.
That's correct.
Probably see it from the outside. Most likely we'll all attack it, see if we can board it.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, so doesn't look like there's going to be much internals on that one. I went right through this with a fine-tooth comb looking for any type of new ships, and I had to go back because some of them were at weird angles, and there was ones that I thought could be other stuff, but they weren't. This is the first scene where we actually get a new thing, and you can actually kind of see it just on the edge here. It's kind of a preview. You can make out the wheel here, but as you go into the very next scene, you can clearly make out. Give us a second. Obviously, it's playing slow mo, and oh my god, we've got the Ursa here. If you also combine this with an image from the jump point, it is an extremely blurry image from the jump point, but you can tell it's only got one bed in it. And so this is the Ursa Medivac, or as people were calling it on stream, that I think we're going to have to run with now, Algared, was the Nursa. I think it runs really well. So
I just imagine them putting this scene together, and somebody's like, "Yeah, we've got to get all of the different vehicles in it." And I think in my head, the person that's pushing the Polaris is like that kid from the first Alien, or not Alien, Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
And this guy's just in the background, just like, Polaris. Yeah. Everybody's like, okay, I want this scene where we introduce the Ursa, so have this in the background with the medic. It'll be really good. This guy comes out of here. Polaris, put the Polaris in the background too. Like every scene of this trailer, Polaris is just there.
It literally is them following the fleet. There is a weird outlier, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I almost wonder if it is they had planned to put something there and they changed it, and I'll talk about it when we get to that scene. But yeah, I wonder if that's a bit of a play to the Med Runners as well, because that is their armor, is it not? Or am I mistaken there? I'm pretty sure that's the Med Runner armor. We can skip this one. So this is actually the next scene, and here in the background you can make out a green MPU, which I think will be the MPU-R that they showed off. I believe this image was a video from ISC. God, how long ago was that?
Yeah, this is inside Star Citizen, I think 2 falls ago. Yeah. They're introducing actually the same system that drives the Moby Glass now.
Yeah.
The UI cards they made.
One thing I will put out to you, gentlemen, besides the tractor beam, is I wonder, because of the color, if it falls in line with the other ships of this color and it's got extra armor. Being the military version, obviously.
Yeah. And one of the things that's slightly different from this one, you've got a tractor beam. It's not quite the original design concept they had for the MPUV. The original design with a claw with a cutting tool as well, so it could do a recovery and rescue. I can see why we've gone tractor beam over the claw, because it's just less to actually have, controls and other stuff, so it's a bit easier, but it's also using tech you've already got working. So
I was I was going to say real quick with the tractor beam, I was kind of hoping it was on a track too, a little bit like the Spirit, so it could actually go around to the back and, you know, essentially collect its own boxes and stuff and pull it towards itself. But if it is just on the head, I wonder what they're intending the features of that to be. Sorry, Space.
They are, they've shown the same thing with the tractor beam working before. One other time, it was during IAE 2021 maybe, when they had Jimmy out there in his, I think it was an Ares Ion, and he was trying to land shots on a Idris, and the ships that tugged the Idris out were actually the MPUV with the tractor beams on them, and it feels like they've been slowly kind of introducing that more and more, that idea. But it seems to me like this is their introduction to just breaking it out so it's modular and introducing the utility points. Like that could probably also be a mining laser, tractor beam, maybe some kind of a scanning tool or something. But anything that could fit on a utility mount might go on the front of this thing.
Yeah.
And given that it is the MPUV, the utility vehicle, it's possible. Although I always thought the utility aspect for the MPUV came from the cargo pods you attached.
Yeah.
I wonder whether this is also, if it is the Squadron 42 version of the MPUV, whether that is actually a rescue pod with a medical pod.
Could be.
One of the early ones was a pod that was for the recovery. You'd free them from the pilots from their cockpit or their ejection seat, and then they'd access the back where there were medical facilities and first aid kits and other stuff as well. So there isn't a search and rescue there. They did at least tease and show artwork for at one point. So
yeah, that's what I'd kind of hope it would be, like the MPUR or something like that. Well, initially I think Algared, we were saying repair, but I think now with this it seems more like recovery. So still an R, just a different meaning.
Given the fact in the previous scene you had in that video you had the guy bringing the humanitarian aid.
Yep. Exactly.
There he is dropping off his humanitarian aid.
Got med kits in the background there too. Yeah. I thought it was
dropping off
definitely. I thought it was dropping off a TV or something, because like it's that lift up box type thing.
So he's dropping off
that model
medical kits. But you've also got the Ursa, which is medical. So there certainly seems to be a medical theme flowing through this video.
Yeah, Space.
That model does seem to look a little bit different, and the other MPUV we're looking at is older. It's a couple years old. This one looks a little bit more like this looks like it was taken from the Alien universe.
I'm wondering,
and maybe it's just the angle.
I'm wondering if the box is just not on it. You see, because like if I'll play it a little bit more because it does go for a little longer, but there's something there, like there's something connected. But that gap is quite large, is it not?
Yeah.
Or is it just me?
Yeah. To me, it looks. When we watched it the other day, it looked like it didn't have.
Actually, it's one of the arms on the back engine. There's no box on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's the chassis.
Yeah. So again, I think you kind of hinted a little bit for the show modularity. Space. You said it yourself. Maybe they've made the MPU modular. Makes sense, no? It'd be a really easy one to do.
That's what I think is. I don't think it's a new vehicle. I think it's just we're seeing modules and the items added to the MPUV.
You've gone robot, sir. Very robot.
I've gone robot.
Crash, kill, destroy, robot. It's fine.
Voice.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Better that way.
No, you're still red body.
We'll let you know when you start talking normal again.
But yeah, like the MPUV was always supposed to be modular. It's that container at the back is always supposed to be swapped out. That's what makes it a utility vehicle. That was always the utility aspect of it. The claw and the blowtorch, they were part of the equipment, they were standard.
Yeah.
So it certainly makes sense if they're bringing in modularity and they're bringing the containers and enabling you to swap them out.
Yeah. So the only other
well for other ships.
So the only other scene that was in this video, it had the Polaris, but I just thought that was really juxtaposition because you had two new ships and then one that didn't have any. And then the last scene is just someone at the deck watching the squads. Again, another one watching them go by. So I almost wonder if this was built for another ship and then they swapped it out. Or I mean, just more than likely I'm just reading something that's not there at all.
I feel like they were kind of trying to show all the different types of gameplay, I guess.
I thought they were trying to
show...
We're
a diverse universe.
I thought they were just trying to show off the fleet going past like normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you think about what Invictus is in law, it is the Navy recruitment drive. So the fleet's flying past, everyone's going, yeah, join up. And you can see the look of, the way people are reacting to the way the military is doing their job. The guy bringing humanitarian aid, the medics, the fleet flying over the minor here.
And the concept of taking a parade or something and actually doing this is insane. Like the amount of space they'd have to cover to fly past random people doing all this random stuff and all of these planets across this, like just days upon days of just flying this Polaris around dead space, hoping that some random miners are going to look up and be like, oh, wow, I'm going to the parade.
No, but so the idea of Invictus was the Navy picking up the recruits and taking them to their station. So they'd literally go to everywhere. They'd go to all the planets and pick up the new recruits. And
I get you going to the cities. Yeah.
I did go through this frame by frame here, but I actually think they've gone back to the old door, by the way. I could be mistaken, but when it flies past there, it's got that hard line on it there. I think that means they've gone back to the fold-out door, not the one that we saw at CitizenCon. Was the whole thing slid back? I think they've gone back to a divided one like in the concept. So, I don't know. I could be wrong there, but yeah. So that's the last bit in that video I wanted to go through. I think the other one that we might be getting is actually... We know the Mirai Pulse is coming, but I put this to you guys. It is now 12 days, essentially. I can't see why they wouldn't just kind of delay releasing the patch at this point. And I don't know if you guys are in it today. Like, we're getting those patches every day, but I was getting crashes today way more than usual. Again, that could be them pushing things to try and find where it's busting. We have seen this before where it looks worse before it comes out, where they're trying to squeeze it and make it break so they can see where the things are. But again, I don't know. I'll put that to you boys. Do you think this could come with the patch separately, or do you think it's one of the ships for Invictus?
Definitely coming with the patch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I given that I thought in the IFC they said when they were talking they said that the latest patch had a lot of the back end stuff for Invictus. That it could imply that the patch is actually going to drop for Invictus.
Yep.
And that could imply that yes, that is part of the Invictus sale. Yeah.
I think the one thing is though we don't have any of the other ships in the files, but this is in there. So I'm in two thoughts. Like I'm happy for it to go either way, really. But we're getting into semantics of whether it comes with the patch or not. But I think just the fact that it's the only ship in the files probably speaks to the patch rather than to the
and we know it's already playable for in the patch. So
have they ever had a hover bike featured for Invictus?
I'd have to go back and have a look. But again, if you add the three that we kind of listed there, right, you've got 2 vehicles, so an Ursa and a bike, and then you've got a snub. That's exactly what we got last year, which was one of the worst Invictuses we've ever had because there was no ship with a quantum drive. But this is the part.
You got a bike last year?
I don't know. We got a Lynx, we got the Storm Tank, and we got a Fury. Right? Okay. So we got 2 vehicles and a driveless snub. So there was no real proper ship, is what I'm trying to get at, right? It's the same again with what we've just looked at, right? But here's the other things to look in. Invictus now goes for 2 weeks, not 1 week. And we know they're trying to raise money. Now, I almost do what I do with other things is I go, well, why is it 2 weeks? Why this drawn out thing unless you're going to sell more extra shit? So I think, again, at minimum, you've got to sell at least 3 things, 1 at the start, 1 in the middle point, and 1 towards the end type of thing.
But as a 2 week thing, I think there could be a something else. The other thing that makes me think this isn't going to be even though I said it could be with the Invictus sale. The other reason I don't think the bike is part of Invictus is it's not military. So it doesn't.
That's what I was asking.
But again, I would argue the Lynx wasn't either.
No, that's true. So there's
good point.
No.
So while it doesn't seem to fit, it could. There's arguments for both sides, but we know it's coming. The question is it part of Invictus or just before it?
So now we're moving into more not speculatory, but things. A little bit speculation thing. So as I go through, you'll understand what I'm saying. So the Retaliator modules, I think we can all agree this seems to be a really great place for that to drop. What do you guys think about the Retaliator and the modules dropping for Invictus? It makes sense to me to chuck that into a 2-week sale. Again, like the MPUVs, if modules are coming for that, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of vehicles with modules. I could be mistaken, but I put that off to you, gents. What do you think?
There's a couple ways it could go, but I do think it is like it makes sense in terms of the event and everything for the Retaliator to get a nice glow up. And obviously it's the best way for them to introduce some modularity. But it is a little bit early. Like, if I don't think any of the features that were planned for a 3.23.x patch would make it into 3.23.1. And I feel like that's going to come out for Invictus Week.
I think you could just simply fix that by limiting which modules come out. So if you give the cargo bay and the bombs, you're done.
Yeah, and that's all they're going to do. The first iteration is incredibly basic.
Yep.
But also, have we ever gotten a feature drop for the Invictus Week patch?
Only beforehand, not right on. They don't to tend to do new features and new patches. But again, I think they're taking that time to polish the shit out of this patch, so it's good to go for Invictus because that's commonly what they do as well.
Yeah. The other thing we know with the Retaliator is we know that one of the problems it had with the modules was the torpedoes. And a while ago, they said they'd actually solved that problem. So they didn't no longer have the torpedoes having to spawn in the void as a separate thing. If you took the ship away, the torpedoes would still be there. If you took the module away, the torpedoes would still be there. Now they've kind of fixed that. So it could be we're getting modularity, and that would, if we're getting modularity, that ties in with your thought about the MPUV, giving modularity to that as well. So, I think it's a possibility. Yeah.
I think that's what they've been hinting at.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It was a couple Invictus weeks ago, actually, when John was saying we're ready, like art-wise, or it was calling on those before that. He said that the Retaliator modules, art-wise, they're good to go. And then 2 years ago, Invictus Week,
they showed an image of them, didn't they? And they were kind of like panning past them. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And 2 years ago at Invictus Week, they said that the hull C was the blocker. That was like, once we figure out this problem with the hull C, the modularity is no problem.
Yep.
And once modularity is no problem, we're starting with the Retaliator.
Yeah.
So the whole season, modularity is on the roadmap, Retaliators in the military. It makes sense for them to do it then. It's just like, that's 11 days away. That's 10 days away. Are they going to drop a 323.x feature drop by then?
I wonder how many of those modules were kind of being done for years, and that maybe that's a part of it. Like, we're just getting a lot of ships with modularity.
Yeah,
I don't know, because I sit here and go well, look at the Vanguard. Bang, the pod drops in and out. You can change the pod and put it to whatever you want. You know.
Here's another one for you. Defense form. The Caterpillar.
No.
Oh boy.
No.
I'm just throwing
that's a massive hopium. That one is got so much wrong with it because it's got so many things that have to go into. I'm just going to say no.
I think they need to redo the Caterpillar to make it work. But
yeah, we talked
let me
about
one up you there.
Yeah.
Endeavor.
No. Same reason.
Endeavor in 4.0, baby.
More hopium.
All right, so
I thought I was going on a limb with the Caterpillar and a little hopium for DEFCON, but that was you've taken the whole plant and smoked it, not just a leaf.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yep. John Crew's just rolling his eyes. I can hear it from here. But anyway, so the other ones that are kind of these are so I'm gonna kind of try and do this from least unlikely to most likely. So the Apollo was in grey box towards the end of last year. We saw that on IRC. That's the last thing we ever seen of it. Obviously, it's a part of the RSI family. You kind of add 6 months. Now, my brain kind of says not quite ready yet because it's a large ship. It's not quite Constellation size, but the last thing we looked at the metrics was it takes the same pad as a Constellation, much like the MSR and the Corsair. So I look at a ship that size and know how long it's taken people to work on it. But then you add the speeding up of the RSI family.
You also add that it's effectively a cut down Connie. And then you look at the trailer and you see lots of medical theme.
That doesn't come into the speed of building the ship though. So
it doesn't come into the speed of building it, but I think it does tie into the
theme. Oh, the theme. Yes. Okay. I'll give you the theme. Yeah, I'll give you the theme of medical for sure. But yeah, I don't know. But I put this back to you guys. Do you think it could potentially be ready for Invictus? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying potentially I think it could be, just because we know things have sped up with the team, more people working on RSI. I'll put that off to you guys.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Although they've been really quiet about it.
Yep.
Like weirdly quiet about it.
I think I think, as I was saying, I think it could be, partly because the theme in the video seems to have a lot of medical aspects to it.
Yeah.
With the Ursa and the MPUV humanitarian delivery or whatever. Yep. So it's a possibility. Even though it uses drones, you don't need the drones for that to have its gameplay because it's medical.
And it's got essentially modular rooms, which is another modular thing from the stuff that we were just looking at. And as you just hinted with the drone, I think it actually sets you up to add drones into the game, because this drone is simpler than the Reclaimer and Carrack drones and a few other ships that can have drones in the game. So I think this would also lead them into doing drones. But we'll see.
But again, you don't need the drones at the moment.
Yeah.
It's still got the medical gameplay.
But it gives them that option to step forward on it. Yeah.
On the track, so yeah.
Right. Go ahead.
I also want to stress hesitancy with CIG because they like to tell us the best of the best, and this was not on their list of ships coming in the next 12 months last November, which is weird because
but they did say more.
Yeah,
that's fair. More. That's fair. That is good to know.
And why would you show a ship that you'd only shown like 2 weeks prior?
Well, I mean, they're going to show the Polaris any chance they can.
Well, they showed.
Not to say that they didn't show the Polaris before that, but I feel like
they showed
they
showed the Apollo about 2 weeks before CitizenCon, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They did not show anything else. No, I guess not. No. They announced the Zeus there. That's fair.
So the last one here on the list, and I deliberately have kind of left ones out from the yellow silhouette video, but we can talk about them in a minute, is the Raelian. Because we know after they worked on the Santoki Eye, they were moving on to the Raelian. And I think this falls into the same type of problem as the Apollo, but I think it's even further back than the Apollo because, one, it's not in the RSI family, and we know how long it took them to do the Santoki Eye, and the alien ships seem to be a bit more bespoke and take longer. So I think this is the least likely to rock up there. And again, it would be at Alien Week, not at... Sorry. It'd be at Alien Week.
Fairy Dust?
Back to the Future.
Yep.
But yeah, it'll be at Alien Week, not at Invictus Week. So, yeah. I don't know. So
this would be a great Alien Week drop.
It would be amazing because we've not had an alien ship, even a concept or anything, drop in Alien Week for the last 2 years. It desperately needs something. Even just a concept at this point would be great. And again, we know they're leaning away from that more and more. So after we've gone through all those, unless you guys want to speak to the Raelian, I think you guys are in agreement with me, though. It's less likely to be coming, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if you had asked me last summer, I would have said this was a good chance for Alien Week next year just because of the timing they were giving it. But they've only been working on this for like 6 months. I had hoped that maybe work on the what's the other one called? The Thulin, the Soylin, the
Thulin,
whatever.
Yep.
I had hoped that would help with the Raelin, but
they haven't
talked in the monthly reports or anything.
I'll chuck something back at you too. The last couple of starters they've done, they've all ended up having variants. So I wouldn't be surprised at some point we see Sulian variants. So that could be a thing at Alien Week too. I don't know. I'll just chuck that out there. And that's a completely random thought. But think of what happened to the Cutter, what happened to the Pisces. Might happen again. Right.
Gian over here trying to do variants.
Yeah. Okay, and that's all the pictures I've got, but we're basically back in the other outlying things are things like the Mirai Guardian that we've heard about as well, which is from the Yellow Silk.
I would think that would be more a Alien Week ship rather than...
it's made by Mirai, Algared.
Yeah,
so anyway, let me finish. So the Mirai Guardian is one that's obviously there, and then the last one is the one that you brought up earlier, Space, which was the RSI, Anvil, Crusader, whatever... 23.6 meter ship, which is the most controversial one that was in the silhouette video. But I think, again, being an advanced starter, that would push it into AIE territory, not Invictus. All right, now, Agard, what were you going to say?
I could see, in terms of a Guardian being an Alien Week ship, because even though it's a human company, they do have that contract and that agreement with Xi'an, and they do leverage a lot of alien tech. So
my
that would be an
brain goes
outcome,
to
but
no, because the Fury is Mirai and it came out at Invictus
Yep.
Week, not Alien Week.
but if it was one ship that I think would be more likely, it would be the Raylan. But yeah.
Is there any other ships? But have you heard? What do you think of that Guardian space? Is there anything? I think that's, again, it's a pipe dream type speculation type thing, but that's kind of where we are now. Like, unveiling all these things that we found. They've been very tight-lipped this year. There's clearly some things there that are gonna, like, some secrets kind of yet to be revealed in those 2 weeks, because 2 weeks is a long time. Do you think we could get one of those ships and maybe hopefully the Guardian from that the Yellow Silhouette video, or do you think I'm living in dreamland?
I don't think we're going to see the Guardian or the Mirai vehicle. It feels to me like they are, I don't want to say running lean, but Star Citizen's version of it. Like, they've gotten very efficient. Like you said, last year, we didn't see anything big for Invictus Week.
Yep, it was lame.
Last IAE, I don't think we saw anything really big, right? In November? What came out in November?
So we essentially had 2 variants of the cutter. We had the Spirits release at the Citizen Con, and I know I'm missing something and I just can't remember what it was, but there was
the SRV came in earlier than that, right?
yeah, I'm having a blank. There was another ship there as well, and I'm sure someone will let me. They're roasting
the
us right now.
Shulin?
Yeah, the Sulian. That was one of them, and I think there was something else as well. But I can't remember. But again, I'd have to go look it up. But they're roasting us in the comments right now. But yeah, go ahead.
But like, look at what they're doing. I mean, the year before this, we also had a pretty quiet start to the year in terms of ships. This year, we haven't seen anything new, except for the Pulse now, I guess.
Yep.
And the F7C Mark II, of course. And like those kinds of things, the F8, the F7C Mark II, the lack of new ships coming out. A lot of the ships they're building now are ships we've known from the past. They're working on the backlog. All of it feels like a very heavy emphasis on, we're not trying to introduce new stuff anymore. We're trying to get this stuff done as efficiently as possible. And that's what the sale's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We had
You've prompted me of something too. The F7A. They said that you can get a free CCU from the C to the A, but that doesn't mean they're not going to sell the A. We know they're trying to get money for marketing, so I think that'll be one of the ships there too. I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head on something there. Sorry, Algared, go ahead.
The other thing I thought that I'd heard them say, and again, I could have just misheard, I could be totally off a rocker, but I thought when they were talking, they said there's a new ship we haven't seen, kind of implying we hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, well,
and if that's true, that kind of says that new ship that we haven't seen is not a Retaliator. It's not a
when you say a new flight ready ship, it means it's not a variant, but it could be one of the ships from the Yellow Silhouette video, because there's new ships in there.
Yeah.
So I think that rules out the MPUV. The Nurse is a vehicle,
and it's a variant. So
they're both and they're both variants. So I think there's definitely something that's not coming. Oh, sorry. There's something new that's coming. But the other thing, as I put out to you two, is technically the M7A is a new vehicle. But do you guys class that as a variant?
Yeah.
I think I'd kind of lean towards what Space said. Yeah, it's a variant of the Mark 1.
Yeah, I think I'd have to say the Mark 1 F7C is actually a downgrade. It's actually the variant of the F7A. It's the downgraded version. It's the added military components stripped out and the rest of it. So,
and you'd hope there's some kind of new ship there for the older backers, because like most of that stuff I don't even get remotely excited for. So yeah,
it certainly, just going back to what I was saying, it feels less focused on making sense. Gosh, it sounds so much worse than I made it to sound. It feels less focused on making sense and more focused on getting work done. Like, it doesn't feel like they're trying to make sure that Invictus Week has like a big special military thing getting up and ready for it. Like the reveal of the Javelin or the Idris, like back in the early days, 2019, we were seeing really significant things during Invictus Week that made you think, oh yeah, this is a special military thing where we're moving ahead. Now they're like, we're still doing the same things with the Javelin and the Idris. They're bringing in the Polaris, which is really cool, and I think that's makes sense considering they want to sell it soon. But it doesn't feel like there are any obvious military ships we've been seeing getting worked on that are going to come up for sale. Same goes for Alien Week, like we're saying. It doesn't feel like, at least the last 2 years, they've been planning out a ship for Alien Week. It feels more like they have to do other stuff, so they don't have time for a big alien ship to work.
All hands on deck for squadron.
That's the feeling it gives. This stuff is running right now because it needs to run, not because they are trying to make something big of it other than, the event it is.
Yeah, I think the only thing for me is I keep coming back to the 2 weeks. I just can't see why
it's a long one.
Why would you make it go so long if you don't have something to sell, so to speak?
And make it nice for streamers so they're not crammed and dying from...
I don't give a shit. That's
no, man, that just makes it 2 weeks more.
So Algared, if I've got to make a video every day for 2 weeks, that's 14 videos.
You're not doing every single day because you've got 2 or 3 days per manufacturer. It means you don't have to do every single day.
Yeah.
So it helps in that.
Would you consider yourself a streamer, Execute? Or a YouTuber?
I think we're both at this point. I think you're both too. If you to be technical, what do you call yourself? A YouTuber?
I want to be called a YouTuber. I do not like being called a streamer.
I don't really. I must admit I prefer YouTube. It's just how I am.
I don't have anything against streaming. Yeah,
no. But I just see like video on demand versus the old. You know how the old Boomer TV. I see Twitch as like you've got to be there to watch them when they're there, but YouTube you can watch whenever you want. And so I think YouTube's the better one, in my personal opinion.
It's also like what
there's talk show radio, so
it's like what you're doing too. I view YouTube as the thing. I view streaming as supporting that, as being a way to communicate more and be in touch with the community more. But like whenever I would ever tell somebody, hey, what do you do? I'm going to tell them it's YouTube.
Yeah,
making videos. That's where 80% of the time goes.
All right, what do you want to hear from people in the comments below, Space, in regards to Invictus ships?
I want to hear, I guess, what they hope to see from Invictus that's different from last year.
Yeah.
We've been having Invictus Week for several years now, and I do want to see like what direction do they want to go in with this long term.
Yeah. Algared, same for you.
Yep. I'd be interested to know, certainly from the older backers, would you be excited to see some of those old ships that have been waiting in the wings be finished and come out? Because I know we don't get excited all the time when it's just small stuff, but if something big like a Retaliator comes, how excited are you going to be for that?
Yeah.
So I know I get happy when I see any ship. So, but then I'm
real problem. It's why we make him wear pants all the time. Yeah. Really excited.
The spaceships.
I kind of look at the. Yeah, I kind of want to hear the juxtaposition between it's 2 weeks long to it's very lean the last couple of years. So it's real. I'm seeing this weird juxtaposition, like extra time, but I'm not seeing the extra ships. So that's kind of where I'd like to fall. Is it just some kind of weird thing between the two? And again, I guess there's some mysteries to be revealed when we get
more
closer.
sales time.
Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely get the feeling it's money raising for marketing for Squadron. That seems to be where my brain goes. But
I mean,
if they just have a longer sale, do they make more money? Is it that simple?
When have we ever had a week-long sale of all the ships that released in the previous year?
Well, yeah, true. The Idris that dropped in the middle of February, things like that.
They're doing a lot of sales.
Yeah, and it'll continue all year long. I have no doubt.
I think there's a momentum of moving towards Squadron heats up. I think it ties in with everything we've been saying. It appears that it's either releasing this year or announcing the date this year. I think it's just helping build that momentum, and as more people come on, they're going to want more ships, and so you make the sales so they can get those ships or have a chance to get them.
All right, Space, where can people find you on the interwebs, mate?
Well, I guess since I made it so apparent, I like YouTube if you want to find there, but I do also stream, and I like YouTube more. I like to call myself a YouTube person, I guess, but like I stream on YouTube, I stream on Twitch as well. Space Tomato Gaming is where you can find me, and I promise I treat both platforms equally.
And you started a third channel recently, so you got Space Tomato Gaming, Space Tomato 2, and now Space Tomato Plays. Is that the last one?
Yes. You know what happens when you start posting stuff that your audience does not care about? It ruins your channel.
Yep.
So now the way YouTube works, you got to start another channel if you want to post other kinds of content. And so I wanted to. I've been wanting to post gameplay. And,
preserve your brand name. Start another. So when's the veggie patch coming?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What are you going to call the kids? Spud? Or Carrot? Or, I don't know.
Tomatillo.
Oh, what does that mean? Sorry, you'll have to tell me what that means.
It's a little tomato.
Oh,
little tiny tomato.
Right.
Yeah, little tomatillo.
You saw it way ahead. You saw it way ahead of us. All right, then.
Go ahead.
He's been Space Tomato. He's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens.